this continues to be the strangest year of fishing I've ever had. A lot of places that I normally really like this time of year are still too high to fish, which never happens. But anyway, went back to one of my favorite spots, fairly muddy. I took my 6 weight, 16 feet a leader, carp maul, and went out chasing some carp. Now, in the margins of this area, you can find clear spots like this where you can see the fish in there pretty good. So there is some pretty good sight fishing opportunities, but most of it is really dirty water. You'll see in this video, this is traditional quick little drag and drop. Fish comes over and eats it right over his head, right over his head there to the right of his eye. I've talked before, dropping it to the sides of the eye is the optimal location. And then obviously you get a big turn and eat, and then an explosion out of this fish here. Nothing real big on this trip. Most are going to be in the 5 to 7, a few up around 10-pound range. There are some big ones in this area, but I just didn't see them on this particular trip. That's okay. I'm not super picky. Springtime's kind of when I chase the monsters. In my area, that's when I can find them. This time of year, they become really difficult. And these 5 to 7 pounders provide just an incredible experience. So this was kind of hard to try to sneak it in between this is another problem we've been dealing with this year, is all this moss and weeds because of the water. So to try to get it squeezed in between that moss patch and then the weeds there to get that fish to eat. But obviously you saw an aggressive take and the mouth go crazy there. Another pretty good fight, another solid fish. And again, this water right here in this particular spot, it's fairly shallow and fairly clear as the water settles out. Pretty much all of the off color. I mean, the water around this is extremely dirty. So you have to go up into these little margins like this in order to find a pretty little mirror right here. And again, probably the 5-6 pound area. So again here, fairly clear. I mean, it's not clear, but for this area, this is pretty clear water. There's 3 of them feeding right here. I was actually gonna probably try to target the front one, but where my fly came in there, when it landed, and the way the wind kind of pulled my line to the right a little bit, I just pulled it over in front of the other one. They were about the same size. Again, quick explosion here, hits the surface, puts up a good fight, and another solid fish. Again, no monsters, just all good solid fish on this particular outing. And a couple of these at the beginning are definitely, the clarity's better, and as I get out of these margin areas and out into the main area, which is actually where I tend to catch the bigger fish, it's not as clear. Another pretty mirror here, full scale mirror. Yeah, cool location. So again, not terrible visibility here. You can see that first came into the back of him there. I actually couldn't tell for sure when I was first looking at him which side was his head. So that was me trying to put it by its head there, and then there we go. I actually got it by its head, and then he immediately ate. So make sure you leave that pretty good gap between where your fly lands and the fish, and then you can sometimes get a shot or two before you spook the fish. I'm also using a light fly here. This is a faux pearl carp maul, so it doesn't have any weight other than just the faux pearl, so it does land pretty lightly. And then with that 16 feet a leader, I got about 8 feet on each side of the fish, to work with as far as setting up my drag and drop when I cast that in there. And again, another good fish. Yeah, this is also actually a mirror. Most of these were mirrors. There were some commons, but that was another full-scale mirror. In this area does have a lot of those. Depends on where you're at here, what you run into. We do, my part of the world, we do have a lot of mirrors. They're not as rare. Some waters, they're pretty rare, but some others, they're not. This is one that they're not super rare. It's not a 50-50 thing, but it's probably a good third of the fish in this water system are mirrors, so it's a pretty high number of mirrors here. Again, drag and drop, a little bit dirtier there. Went on a pretty good run before I get him back in, and another solid fish. One thing you'll notice in a lot of this is how close to the edges, not only I try to be, but the fish tend to be. And there's a couple of reasons that I do that. One is, when I'm up against the edge like that, there is a background behind me that helps to break up my profile when I'm up against it. Even better if I can be behind it. But by using that profile to keep my body and my outline against it, it makes it harder for the fish to distinguish me from the environment. Now, I wear the blue shirt and the lighter colors to help match the sky, which helps. But also anytime you can break yourself up with something behind you on the horizon, that helps. Now, if I had like tall mountains behind me or something like that, where my profile was basically over those mountains, I would actually probably wear something that more matched that, a green or a brown or a camel pattern, to try to help blend in with that background a little bit more. Carp are just so good at picking up. They have excellent vision, not only to pick up motion. I'm not going to dive into all the details, but let's just say that they are extremely good at picking up motion, and there's certain colors that they pick up really, really well. But the contrast is really what they see well. It's similar to like deer, where except carp can actually see color better than deer. Anyway, I'm going off on a massive tangent here. Camouflage yourself. Use your environment as best you can. Stay against stuff that so you're not like on a horizon. Staying on the edges. And then I also spend quite a bit of time even in an area like this, looking for those areas where the water's a little bit clearer. This is extremely muddy water here, and like on this particular shot right here, right, you can barely see the fish, and that's from straight above it with good light. So down on the water, it is much harder. Now for a shot like this, basically, now you can see there's another carp right in front of me right there. I've seen them, they come up to the surface here. This is not very deep, maybe 18 inches, 12 inches to 18 inches in this area. And they kind of come up and down as they're chasing food and stuff like that. You kind of sit in a position like this and you wait for opportunities where they come up and you can see them for a second. I don't cast at all when I'm in an environment like this until I can see a fish, I can see what I think is the head, and then I'm going to put it out in front of them. And see, so it's quick shots and that kind of stuff. Again here, right, you can see there's a bunch of them there with this carp, but they kind of go that, it was up pretty good, you can see it well, and see the one in the back there's almost completely disappeared. This one's almost completely disappeared. You're kind of looking for those opportunities where you can see them for, it's usually just a couple of seconds, a second sometimes, and then you put it out in front of them, look for that movement. This one again, now we can see it okay right here. You can see the fly come in to the right side of the fish, and then I see the turn and the eat. This is difficult. Your fly's got to be close. It needs to be within a couple inches of the eye, and you're going to have really short windows. It can be a ton of fun, and some of my biggest fish I catch, especially in the springtime, is in water like this. It's very dirty, but you got to get good at those quick shots. Similar to like bone fishing, where you're on especially if you're being pulled on a skiff, and it's like you got to get it in front of them right away. So this kind of stuff is actually really good practice for that kind of stuff, where you just got to get it on them quick. Now, obviously, we're not casting to the fish, right? We're casting past the fish to do the drag and drop, and that's one of the key differences between carp and bonefish and redfish, right? We're not typically doing drag and drop for any other species of fish we go for, but you do want to do that for carp. And when I first go out, after I've carp fish, because this is what I do the most of, then I go out to do redfish or bonefish, I almost always mess up and put the fly over them a couple of times, because in my mind, I just automatically think, this is where I need to put it for a carp. So there's a big difference, but I like this kind of fishing because it's a really good practice for how to lightly land a fly quickly on short shots. Not a lot of these are going to be very long shots. Very few of these are over 30 feet, which you're going to run into a lot in that kind of environment. Maybe a windy day on a skiff bone fishing. So it's good practice to prep you for that kind of stuff too, if you want to do that, which I fully recommend and endorse. I can't wait to get back bone fishing again this winter. I love it. I'm going to miss my carp, but I do love that I get to go bone fishing in the winter. So anyway, this is a pretty good fish. This one, I think I did weigh that one, and it was like 9.5 pounds. So that one was probably the biggest, closest to 10 pounds I got. But again, none of these fish are huge, but a 9.5 pound carp is incredibly fun. Love these fish. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's a little bit more to it, a little bit more drag and drop, dirty water, but great time. Yeah, this one gives a fantastic little run on the eat right here. I'm gonna go back out fishing right now watching this. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll get some more stuff coming out soon. I love fall fishing normally. This is a really weird year, so we'll see how it goes. But some of my favorite locations don't open up until the fall. And they should be opening up in the next couple weeks, and I should have some awesome content. So I hope you guys get out and do some fishing, catch some carp, have some fun. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.